Alrighty, it's time for another Office Hours capsule. This is a small section of my Office Hours live stream, what I do at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropublive on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I believe. At twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropublive. We talk about lore, news, and more of Star Citizen. I'd love to have you come by and join chat, who are totally not trapped in my basement right now. This episode, we talked a lot about the teasers for the Titan suit that's coming out, which is pretty badass. We watched the monthly report. We watched the ISC for the cows, space cows, the grazer, and the other customization updates. So it's good. Love to have you join us. But we're going to be looking at the PU monthly report for August 2024. As a caveat, as a disclaimer, this is a full read through, not a summary. Nothing wrong with summaries, but I feel like if you really want to understand the full context of what CIG is doing, you need to read everything word for word and not trust somebody to just pick stuff out. I will add my own context, my own analysis to it as well, because I've been doing this for several years now, and so I can see patterns when they'll mention things. They'll just sort of like last month we talked about this. So I'll give some sort of context for those of you who this is your first time reading one of these, so you can get an idea of how things are connected together month to month. With that all being said, let's take a look at the August 2024 PU monthly report. AI features. Last month, AI features polished various reactions, including the first reactions when AIs respond to audio or visual elements. So one of the things they were doing last month was trying to diversify how AI reacted to things. So like some AI will run over and grab a gun, other AI will panic if they see some sort of violence going on. Like they wanted to diversify it so it wasn't everyone fleeing at the same time, but more realistic. So that's probably what they're referring to here. While these behaviors had a solid base, various combat styles, weapons, and scenarios didn't play consistently, such as when escalating from a low reaction to a high reaction. To improve this, the team built a new AI test level called a test cell. This is a building block setup with different character types, weapons, cover, usables, etc. that allows the team to pick and mix different setups to produce a consistent version of test scenarios. A particular combination can be exported as one cell and imported into a single level, where multiple test scenarios can be played simultaneously, allowing the team to quickly identify mistakes, fix them, and retest. The test cell level is also being used for cover hit reactions, which have different animation setups per cover type, combat style, and weapon type. Going forward, the test cell will be expanded to provide more consistency across a wide range of areas. AI tech. AI tech continued to improve how NPCs transition between servers, including serializing movement requests and navigation paths. They also updated navigation generation elements, including one relating to computing navigation islands, and one used when exporting processes into object containers. Progress was also made on converting the Apollo tool's UI style. A new feature continued to development too, which the team will share more about in the future. That new feature is almost certainly something they're going to show off at CitizenCon. But for those of you who don't know what the Apollo tool is, it's their internal tool for dealing with subsumption AI. Generally speaking, the AI that you encounter with on a regular basis in a gameplay session of Star Citizen, be it shooting at you, not shooting at you, standing there T-posing on chairs, whatever, that is the subsumption AI. And the Apollo tool is just something that allows them to manipulate the subsumption AI a little bit more easily. AI content. In August, the social AI designers joined the narrative team to form a larger group focusing on improving the Star Citizen experience. As part of this, they began meeting with design and creative directors to walk through various locations, looking for opportunities to clean up existing behaviors or add new ones. While many of the behaviors will be based on work done for Squadron 42, the expansive nature of the PU will require bespoke additions. AI content is also in the process of reviewing locations throughout Pyro, ensuring the environment and behavior setups work correctly together and instill a sense of the intended narrative. The team also met with the designers of an upcoming mission to provide support for some of the locations that will be visited by players, including applying believable behaviors to NPCs. Aside from outlining the behavior improvements and the needs for Star Citizen 1.0, narrative design kicked off several initiatives to determine the required tech and use cases for future social spaces. This will ultimately lead to a vertical slice showing a gold standard social space with a level of interaction and the game will aim for. So they've talked a lot about this. This has been a big thing they've been pushing for the last several months is social spaces. They really want to improve the social atmosphere of AI. They started this in Squadron and it looks like it's ported over to Star Citizen as well, because they pretty much dialed in the combat experience. Despite what you might think, CIG's combat stuff works pretty well when you have decent, back-end services. The AI is pretty brutal at times. It's just right now the servers are kind of bad, but that stuff they developed for Squadron is slowly making its way into Star Citizen and being tooled in. So now that that's done, they're looking at what the next step would be. So the people who developed it in the first place are now trying to develop the social aspect of things. So the other side. Ooh, AI Game Intelligence Development Team. In August, the Game Intelligence and Development Team concentrated on developing a clear and stable Apollo StarScript UX update. Oh. This involved adding support for higher icon resolution so they stay sharp when zoomed in and straightening lines for clearer read. Oh. Okay. There's not a lot of people who get what I just got. So, for those of you who don't know, StarScript is their sort of UI features. So what they're trying to do is tie in Apollo, make Apollo a little bit more better. It's hard to describe. It's good. That's all I can say. Yeah, StarScript. Not Star Sim, which is their kind of back end other thing. But yeah, it's more readable now. Drag and drop was improved too. Now when hovering ports with a bigger selection range are highlighted. The devs corrected the color and size of important notes, added arrowheads to links to leading to cross groups, and enlarged the hovering area and highlights on links and ports. Drop points were also added to links that identified desired selected line. Okay. Yeah, that's the second part right there, is they kind of improved that. StarScript is the big one. StarSim is the economy, yeah. Animation. August saw the facial animation team developing content to flesh out more of the game's world's characters. Gameplay animation continued to work on selection of creatures previously seen in teaser videos, alongside improving the creatures already in the PU. They also progressed with an unannounced addition to the team that the team is looking forward to see in game. Okay, so it's important to note here. Creatures. Selection of creatures previously seen in teaser videos alongside improving creatures already in the PU. Multiple creatures. I'm not saying that they're going to be releasing the space whale. I'm just heavily implying it. The storm wall. Getting sandworms. With CIG's team currently, I wouldn't be surprised if they managed to do that. But yeah. Yeah, caveman crafting. That's kind of what I was hinting at. It seems like an odd thing that they're focusing really on tools right now. For those of you who get that, why would CIG be focusing heavily on tools? Why would CIG need cleaner tools to allow for them to use things? Art characters. Character art continued working on utility and specialist armors, while character concept art supported IAE and progressed with their ongoing exploration of fauna. So yeah, more exploration of fauna. I do like the specialist armors. The utility thing's been around for a while. Art ships. Last month, Ship Art moved several unannounced vehicles towards their gray box reviews, while others approached their Lot Zero and final content reviews. Work on RSI Polaris also continued, with ship's exterior approaching completion. So, for those who don't know what Lot Zero is the last step before the final, out. So their gray box reviews, others approached their Lot Zeros and final content reviews. So they have some that are entering gray box, some that are almost done, and some that are completely done that are just getting through their final checks. Yeah, they added Lot Zero recently because it used to be gray box to final art, and they added Lot Zero in between the gray box and final art. And so it's sort of a step before final art. It means that whatever's there depends on the size and everything like that, but it's almost done. It's in the final stages. That could mean days, weeks, months, but it's usually not years in Lot Zero. It's usually a couple of months at most. Community. In support of Alpha 3.24, the community team made improvements and updates to the new player and welcome back pilot guides. They also provided an update to Cargo Guide alongside a Q&A with recently released Aegis Saber Peregrine. The team also focused heavily on compiling and sharpening player feedback internally. The team's standout event last month was the Ship Showdown 2954, with players from across the community submitting creative entries to determine which ships made it to the top. Phase 1 saw citizens submitting original creations of their favorite vehicles in the community hub and social media before the top 16 faced off in daily voting battles. After much voting, the Anvil F8C Lightning was crowned Ship Showdown champion of 2954. Neat. The community team also supported the release of a limited number of general admission CitizenCon 2954 tickets before connecting the community at Gamescom 2024 in Cologne. This stop in the Bar Citizen Tour brought us together with players for an unforgettable experience, including the treasure hunt, prizes, and 2 Bar Citizen events. Later in August, the team met with more fans in Seattle at PAX West during another Bar Citizen event at Stoop Brewing. Looking ahead, we're excited to meet even more Star Citizen players in the Marina Grande, Portugal, and during TwitchCon in the US and California. Community team. The progress tracker was also updated with the latest production scale through 2024. It introduces a significant shift in how deliverables are tracked while maintaining transparency throughout the year. Further updates, including 2025, will follow soon. With CitizenCon 2954 coming in October, the team spent much of August gearing up for the event, including setting up the venue layout, preparing community booths, and more. So it's important to note, because this is something that comes up a lot. But people have often said that, X, Y, and Z, I've heard Ray's Guide say this, and I disagree with Ray's Guide in this, but you probably heard that that's like, of course, CIG is holding back 4.0 so they can show off 4.0, more 4.0 stuff at CitizenCon, and we'll see more 4.0 stuff at CitizenCon. But based off of what CIG said in the past, they're probably not. Because they wanted to have 4.0 out before CitizenCon, and it may or may not happen. At this point, it doesn't look like it's happening. They want CitizenCon to be about something different. And it takes a while for you to plan these things. This is August, and they're setting up things like the venue layout and community booths and more. So they're setting everything up so that it's set up for the actual event in August, before the changeover had happened. They likely had lineups for presentations and other things back in July, because a lot of these things take time to capture footage and such like that. So this is another example of that, where it takes a long time to plan an event like CitizenCon. Usually 3 to 6 months ahead of time, they need to start nailing down what they're actually going to do. And typically it's not going to be the last minute. So What we're likely seeing is what CIG is going to be doing beyond 4.0, or at least what they think they're going to be doing beyond 4.0. So that's the thing to keep in mind. And someone's already asking, when is 4.0 coming? According to CIG, this year. Q4, sometime. Okay, yeah. Core gameplay. All right, so this is the long one. Throughout August, the various gameplay feature teams continued to improve the hangar and cargo flows for Alpha 3.24 based on feedback from the PTU. Meanwhile, a lot of behind-the-scenes changes progressed that will improve how various gameplay systems handle environments that span multiple servers. Progress was made on the overheat mechanic, with core gameplay adding support for different atmospheric temperatures. For example, weapons will overheat at different rates based on their environment. Charge and drain progressed too, and are now features client-side prediction to give immediate feedback to players when they're charging or draining, even if there's latency between the client and the server. The team began adding logic to declutter the UI by grouping markers of the same type, while the implementation of the weapon groups and group presets continued. August saw continued progress on jump points, which began with improved debugging tools to better visualize potential exit points for players. Turbulence was also implemented, which will affect the flight experience within the tunnel. The designers are currently tweaking the strength to get the desired impact. Visual effects were added too, including cockpit vibration based on where the tunnel, based on where in the tunnel the player is located, and obstacles were placed that players would be required to navigate around. Further failure states for jump tunnels were determined before the feature was submitted to QA for testing. Progress was then made on resource network, engineering gameplay, and life support. So basically all of this is saying is that they're wrapping up and doing final touches on a lot of different aspects because they're trying to make sure it works with server meshing. This is back again in August. They're trying to make sure, like last month, they're trying to make sure everything is working decentralized or centralized rather than like on the game server in the hybrid service in the background. For example, core gameplay implemented a new behavior for critical components, which will replace the existing SOP death mechanic. When live, only certain items like power plants will trigger an explosion or soft death when destroyed. That's a good update. The engineering screen was polished, while a new room selection UI was added for life support. The team also gave design the ability to control the total power output of multiple active power plants. This way, more power plants don't necessarily result in linearly increasing power production. Significant time was also dedicated to fixing stability issues and bugs following QA testing. That sounds an awful lot like polish. I even mentioned polish a couple of times. It sounds like they're in the final stretch of 4.0. July's work on radar and scanning continued throughout August, with the team reviewing it in Arena Commander to assess the impact on the player experience and tune values to achieve the desired effect. They also focused on closing out feature work for the Delta signatures, giving design more control over how to react to changes. Delta signatures, for those who don't know, is just the change in signatures. I don't know if it's a technical term in like signals groups or anything like that, but typically Delta just means changes, so I assume that just means Delta signatures. Tasks were completed for audio signatures too. Core gameplay continued supporting transit in the run-up to the live release, while adjusting how transit data is stored to lower the maintenance overhead on level design. Elsewhere, the team reworked the shot annunciator. It will turn red if someone targets the player and fires their weapon. Annunciators for weapons, power thrusters, and shields were completed, while overheating and off states were implemented. This is something that was mentioned before. Somebody in the comments was like, why is Paul so obsessed with these things? And I'll explain to you. If I don't fully understand it, or if I generally get it, there's going to be somebody who doesn't understand it at all, because I'm more enmeshed with these sorts of things than your average person who's just casually following Star Citizen. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the right information, because sometimes I don't get the right information. And if I get something wrong, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to make those corrections in the future, because I do read your comments and they do hurt my feelings sometimes. Let's see. The ongoing mission system refactor progressed with the team fixing various issues, causing existing behaviors to break or function incorrectly. The mission system can now run in minimal mode, allowing it to be included in the sending service and upcoming mission factory service, mission factory, which generates contracts. Interesting. But yeah, for those who don't know, the Annunciator is sort of like a symbol that lets you know what's going on. So like it tells you when like weapons, power, thrusters, and shields are off or damaged or whatever. So it's like the little status symbols, effectively. I am a big old dummy who bring no work. All right, there it is. Clients can now query available missions and contract, and the contract generator can apply legacy settings to work with the previous system too. Implementation of service beacons for the mission system refactor began, while core gameplay supported mission design on the remaining blockade runner and cargo hauling missions. Developers working on cargo gameplay primarily focused on major remaining stability and gameplay issues. For example, they fixed several problems with hangar instance queues getting stuck and players being assigned the wrong hangar. Functionality was also added to Instanced Interior Manager to better support removing non-active hangar instances. Several hauling mission bugs were solved, resulting in relating to the warehouse manager and freight elevator kiosk interactions, alongside issues with the kiosk transferring items on and off the loading platform. Bugs were also fixed relating to the whole C auto-loading, auto-loaded commodity transactions, and ship loading platforms getting broken by obstructions, with the fixes set to be implemented in the near future. So for those of you who had hull Cs that are broken, apparently they have it, that just hasn't been added to the fixing yet. Finally, for core gameplay, the devs spent considerable time reviewing internal and external feedback to plan further improvements to the features released in Alpha 3.24. So, I mean, the gist of this, because this is always the longest one, because they kind of combined all these teams together into their own, I guess, strike teams. What we're seeing is a lot of 4.0 being wrapped up. So they're kind of in the stages where they're sending it to QA to get tested, to make sure it's good before it's finally released. They even said, like, you know, they're ready, getting ready for closing out feature work or continue supporting transit in the run up to the live release while adjusting how transit data is stored. They're working on all these sort of little things that are important for 4.0 and they're kind of wrapping up those aspects. Doesn't mean that they're done, but again, this is throughout the month of August. So, economy. The economy team spent the month getting closer to uniting all of their work into a cohesive economy consisting of ships, items, missions, fuel, consumables, freelancing, careers, and more. Progress was also made on the economy setup for Pyro. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. Alongside the ongoing stability and performance improvements for Vulkan, the graphics team improved the debugging tools for the long-term health of the dev experience. For global illumination, support was added for high-gloss specular reflections, which builds on previous rough specular work. The team also added live updates to GPU ray tracing, acceleration structures, and began working on improvements to transparent objects. Performance-wise, the global illumination system now supports both temporal and spatial subsampling to accumulate the same visual result with fewer rays per frame. Ongoing tasks consist of async creation and additional types of destructible renderer objects, such as gas cloud chunks, to reduce frame time spikes on the CPU. For Planetech V5, yes. The team focused on enhancing terrain performance throughout a compute shader-driven pipeline that caches material attributes to reduce redundant computations. So making it more efficient, I guess. Alongside this, the revamped material scattering system now supports physically based distribution, allowing for denser biomes such as jungles and forests by eliminating distinctions between small and large mesh ground covers. Can we have less fucking rocks, Planetech team? New per-object climate concept and new terrain attributes were introduced, including geology and soil maps. Soil maps? And geological maps. That's interesting. Yeah, climate concept. So that's been the thing for Planetech V5. Oop, I forgot about that. Forgot to turn off all of the alerts. My bad. I just forgot to turn off the alerts. It's okay. Yeah, no, it's go through this a little bit, going back to where it was. Oh yeah, they're doing a lot of like weather related stuff. There's a lot of efficiency stuff with Planetech V5. This is the same one that's going to be dealing with like AI, possible AI, machine learning algorithms to naturally distribute biomes better. The theme for Planetech V5 seems to be weather, and like how weather would actually affect planets and such. All right, Planetech also spent part of August supporting Montreal Tools team on the location scatter tool. For this, they provided new terrain query API for large-scale queries and extended query capabilities with future tasks aimed at supporting SDF-based terrain queries. A lot of queries in that sentence. Support for the live release included fixes for the invisible asteroid bug and other issues. Following on from last month's report, the VFX team focused on fire hazards. The feature work is now complete, with the focus shifting on bug fixing and balanced design. Particle effects connections for jump tunnels were implemented. The devs are now focusing on polishing the VFX and supporting graphics technology. The team also progressed with significant data conversion with GUIDs, which will help the VFX artists manage particle effects more efficiently. Elsewhere, performance improvements were underway, including using multiple threads for particle updates and adjusting VFX regression tests to detect issues earlier. Interactables. The Interactables team spent time in August on items in Pyro mission content. Lighting. The lighting team continued to support multiple areas of development, including Pyro Space Station, Acidic Caves, and the closeout work for Alpha 3.24. Locations. Last month, the landing zone team progressed with tasks for Alpha 4.0, including adding new areas and additional polish to Pyro's space stations. Locations teams pressed forward with ground bases, moving the initial modules through Greybox. Improvements were also made to several new location types coming with Pyro. Oh, ground bases. So for those of you who don't know ground bases, I'm pretty sure this means player bases. I've not seen them talk about this before. I thought that seems weird. They're going through Greybox with initial modules. It's like, why they wouldn't? We've already seen a lot of stuff for Pyro. So this isn't talking about Pyro. This is talking about base building. So it looks like instead of getting to custom build your interior, you're going to get modules that you build and then place down. Kind of like we already have. Mission design. The mission design team spent the time in August updating the salvage mission archetype, enabling it to spawn ground panels and provide FPS gameplay at scrapyards. They also continued to work on the repair location missions recently shown in the social gameplay of Pyro episode of Inside Star Citizen. The team is targeting 3 main gameplay elements for this initial release. Charge and drain, charging devices that use batteries for operation, replace component, replacing fuses and relays, repair pipe, fixing damaged pipes using RMC. The team also continues to design resource gathering, including determining which commodity buyers in Stanton would want extracting from Pyro. Well, I know. But yeah. They're also expanding the mechanic to include FPS resource gathering, which will be the first step towards basic MMO-type fetch quests. Elsewhere, a new mission type progressed that the team will discuss in a future update. That's going to be a CitizenCon patch thing. Narrative team spent time last month working with design and branding to further develop new contested zones and enhance the gameplay that players will experience there. The team also made improvements to the cargo hauling missions and continued to work on an unannounced mission content that will be coming to Stanton and Pyro. The narrative design team focused on improving AI behaviors and settlements to give them more natural feel to the NPCs that players will encounter there. They also fleshed out new social AI testbed. New lore was added to the website with Whitley's Guide to Cutlass Red and additional Galactopedia updates. Plus, there's a very special Star Citizen Live with the narrative team. Online technology. In August, the online services team progressed with features scheduled for Alpha 4.0. Significant progress was made in the updates for the mission and maker systems, and the team completed the new player trade system service, which will allow players to trade game currencies in server meshed environment. Some people got really excited about that. Mentioned game currencies, meaning multiple currencies. Merits in prison are considered a currency. It's another currency. So. Time was also spent testing and gathering metrics for the newly enabled EAC anti-cheat feature in Evocati and PTU. Alongside helping to stabilize the Alpha 3.24 release, online services helped player relations unblock accounts with lingering login issues. Regarding live tools, the team met with the player support and player experience during a visit to Montreal studio. It was a great opportunity for both teams to sit together and work on the future of Network Operations Center and how it could improve the quality of life for the support teams with its current and upcoming features. Live tools team. Elsewhere, the architecture for error reporting tool progressed well. VFX. The VFX team continued their support for jump points and dynamic fire, both of which were shown in recent episodes of Inside Star Citizen. They also completed their work on acidic caves, 2 vehicles, and an unnamed energy weapon that has functionality not seen before in the PU. What? unnamed energy weapon? That's interesting. Good to see that. All right, so pretty long, pretty beefy. I think the big takeaways is 4.0 is in the state where it is getting ready to be delivered. They're finished with the content. It's just dialing in elements here and there, polishing it, sending it to QA to make sure there's no bugs and other issues. There may be a few outliers which aren't done, but from the looks of things, pretty much everything's ready to go. And it's not untypical for CIG to even release an Evocati or PTU builds with stuff that's missing from the final patch that's added in later. So from the sounds of things, CIG is pretty much ready to go with 4.0, according to this monthly report. But it's clear that they wanted to let 3.24 have a little bit more time to cook. The other thing that's in here is a lot of stuff. There's some mentions of 1.0, them kind of focusing more on 1.0. There's a lot of meetings between teams to focus on things for the future and kind of how to better synergize with stuff. Let's see, look through some of the stuff. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff is just like straight up implemented for 4.0 stuff. Plus some teasing of like vehicles, weapons, creatures, all sorts of things. This typical kind of experience. And a lot of stuff for CitizenCon that's going to come out. Plus another update for the scanning gameplay, which is FPS and ship scanning. That seems like we'll probably get a little bit more update at CitizenCon for it. But yeah, that's what we have from the PU monthly report for August of 2024. If I'd like to hear your thoughts down below, in the comments down below. Please do leave your comments. I do read them. Try to be civil about it. And if you have gotten this far, please type into chat. Use in your comment. Type moo, M-O-O. Real G's get that reference somewhere in your in your comment, and I'll give you a nice little a little heart to say that I read it. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be released. And of course, follow us on Twitch. I stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Wednesdays through Fridays, typically between 8 p.m. Eastern and like midnight Eastern-ish. And on the weekends, I start at 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'd love to have you come join us and join these wonderful captives I have in my basement for watching me here. And yeah, like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.